All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's April 26, 2023. We're talking about the banks. We still have the money because the bank stuff is going crazy. So it is day 2 after the FRC earnings. I have a very important update, and I'm going to tell you right now. I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend, and she just started looking at me, and she was like, this sounds really confusing. Can you simplify it? And pretty much like we said yesterday, FRC is going through the exact same thing as SVB. Even today now, the updates that came out is huge. So I'm going to talk about it here, and I'm going to share with you my theory. Even though Meta killed earnings and the market's doing good, you saw yesterday, even Google and Microsoft, we still kind of came down a little bit. So that's the first really big important part. It's reflecting SVB, and there is big updates that came out today. So Chattadonia, I talked about it on stream today. I would be watching the bonds. Tomorrow and Friday, we're going to be watching for very big events with the banks, even though we're watching earnings. If FRC becomes a problem, we will see a big reaction. Even today was very reminiscent towards the Thursday of SVB because we opened up, we dropped a little bit, we came back up, and we were looking good, and then all of a sudden, end of the day, regional bank stocks, or in this case, FRC, it was hitting the low, and now all the other big banks, the ones who gave them money, remember this, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, they gave $2.5 billion, JP, Citi, Wells Fargo, they gave $5 billion. These big banks are tied to FRC now because they gave them money. So Chad, I'm going to go over the updates. We got a lot to talk about. I hope you liked the video, but let's get into this. I'm going to just tell you right off the bat, the first thing that happened in the morning, we were talking about it yesterday. Hopefully you go watch the last 2 watch lists because we were kind of documenting it pretty well, I'd like to say. But we were saying it looks like SVB. Then this morning, there was a report by CNBC that FRC is looking or talking to investors to sell additional shares. Why this is so wild, I told you yesterday, the only difference between FRC and SVB right now is that FRC didn't sell any shares, and well, today they said they are looking to sell those shares. That checkbox is now in play. That was the first update. Then the second update, it was early in the morning. There was a headline that said the United States is unwilling to intervene with FRC at this time. Remember, we talked about this over the last month or so. People were saying the only way a FRC deal, and emphasis on deal, keep that word in mind. They said the only way a deal could happen is if the government stepped in, just like the Credit Suisse situation. And there was a surprise announcement. The U.S. says we are unwilling to intervene. So this was all in the morning. The stock was decently stable, but every single one of these, it dropped it down. It was down 30% pre-market. Then it jumped back up to like -10. Then it shot back down again. And then it started to move back up. And then this was the final death blow. And this is where things started getting weird and where the big banks started to drop. And now this is the whole point of what I'm about to share with you right now. It was the final update, and in the final update, what they said was that, oh man, it wasn't even from FRC, it was the FDIC, and they said they are considering suspending FRC borrowing from the Fed Home Loan Bank. That's where they borrowed $100 billion so far. They said, we are considering suspending this, and unless FRC can get a deal, we're probably going to lower their credit rating. But this is now the whole point, because the FDIC is saying, if you don't get a deal, then we are going to cut you off from borrowing at the Fed, even though you can't afford it and you still have to pay interest and they don't even have enough money to cover it. They're saying we're going to limit you, then we're going to downgrade your credit. But again, deal, bro. The FDIC is now implying that some sort of deal needs to happen. But why is this so big? Because nobody can buy them out without absorbing a mass amount of loss. And they said they want the government to help. If the government says they're not going to help, who is going to buy them? But this is where it gets tricky, because guess what? 5 of the biggest banks in the world just gave them $30 billion. And if they can't borrow from the Fed, and if nobody buys them out and that goes bust, all of that money is uninsured, and now they all lose just straight cash right off the top. So that's where we are today. This is a big deal. And I was saying borderline, it could be a potential black swan. Now, the best part, like I told you, it's contained to FRC. This only has to do with FRC. The black swan is that we get another bank going bust, all of the big banks take losses, and now all of your fears of banking, they're going to reemerge again, and then maybe now it leads to somebody else getting clapped, right? Other than that, though, the next big level, and this is why I said watch the bonds today, I closed my 2-year short because I just said, listen, I don't want to short or go long on the bonds. I don't have a play on this, but like I'm saying, the bonds right now, and if FRC goes bust, even today, all of the news, that should lead to a bid on bonds, because if another bank goes bust, we got one more rate hike and things are kind of, Philly Fed and other things are dropping, all of this is screaming, okay, maybe we are closer to the pause. Another bank failure, it could guarantee a pause, but even then, just like last time, if another bank goes bust and people go worry, they are going to rush into the bonds. That's why I closed out my short, and I'm saying, hey, do we know if bonds are going to go up tomorrow or the next day? No, it might come down. Again, that's what happened last time. If there's no bad updates from FRC tomorrow, it might chill out. My theory, I think they're going to wait till Friday before the weekend before saying something, and then we'll see, and then maybe we get carried by Meta tomorrow. But the general idea is that this could be something. People were already talking about FDI receivership in the morning on FRC. I mean, again, it is repeating exactly what happened with SVB. So the logic of going in on bonds, is it a gamble? Can it go both ways? Yes, it's still holding the fear bid, but the whole logic with this right now is like, yo, this is a way better bet on anything, or even it's a gamble. I think it's a gamble no matter what, but it's a better gamble now with this going on in the short term than not, because depending on what happens, people may have a reason to start buying the bonds again. Now, good earnings would mean yields go up, so we'll see, but it really just depends. Are we about to watch FRC go bust? So I've been going over it. We've talked about SVB. We're seeing this now. We even said FRC is next. Shout out Danny. A lot of people in the chat, they even brought up like Zion, MTB. They were able to avoid it a little bit, but the whole idea is, it's very simple. FRC is now on the chopping block. It is not looking good at all. If this plays out, this could affect bonds, this could affect credit, and now we're watching all of the big banks tied up into it, and that's pretty much the final thing. I'm going to jump back to the deal segment, and this is now how we have to play it, because you got to watch out for this deal. What is this deal? Who is a part of it? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to benefit? What is going to be the price of the deal? And that back and forth, this is why I'm still holding the shares, even though I'm clapped on it. Again, that was the whole idea. That's why we kept it small, but the whole idea is I feel like this deal news back and forth, if we know the government's not going to get involved, it seems like the FDIC and Fed, they got the banks to put in money, and now they're saying, we're not going to give you money. You better figure this out. It seems like we might get that news, and that's what's going to cause the volatility. So we're going to see what plays out, but I hope this is very helpful. I would definitely be watching FRC. We thought this was all going to be about earnings, and it really is, but this little fear, and a 1 month later, and even tomorrow or Friday, the first SIVB, the report by the Fed comes out. It's just wild to see how this develops. But now it seems like the government doesn't want to help out and get involved. They're not trying to have it get bailed out. They're not even using these loan facilities. And now we may watch our first bank out into the wild and see how the market takes it after thinking it was all done. So that is pretty much it. Besides the rest of the day, we sold off again. It was a bigger reaction to this news. There was a decent amount of earnings. Again, Microsoft was up 8%, and we still had a pretty big sell-off day. Energy was down as well, too. But I think it all has to do with these banks. Tomorrow, a lot of dividends, value, healthcare, travel in the morning. We'll see how that plays out. But real question is, do people go to tech for safe haven? How strong is that? And now, what do we get out of these regionals? Tomorrow could chill out, but then Friday on FRC, I would definitely keep your eyes out for it. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We're live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. Drop your thumbs up on the video. I'm not supposed to say that. No, I'm not supposed to say that. This is weird now. This got way too awkward. I was going to tell you to drink water, stay hydrated. It's because we did philo middle of the day today. That's probably why. I don't know. This is getting weird. I love you, And thank you for supporting. Did you know I love you? I appreciate you for real, man. Honestly, I was like, I want to give out these $100 bills to every one of you, but then I did the math and it would like, even if it was $1, it'd be like $3 million or something. So I could just tell you I love you, and I hope the information on a day-to-day provides you with limitless knowledge or unlimited knowledge, and get the long term, okay? But I love you, and let's go the real ones. Have no fear, and just remember, what you feel is different than who you are. So I don't know how you're going to identify. Oh, yeah, let's go, baby. Or not.